We've got another exciting session for you guys today. We have Brent Gaisford with Abodu. They specialize in building ADUs and they've really got it nailed down to a science, you guys, where you can get an affordable additional unit on your property. He's going to be speaking to a lot of the California laws and regulations, but every state has different abilities for ADUs. And if you contact Brent and Abdu, they can help you to find out if an ADU is for your property. Thanks so much for joining us today, Brent. Take it away.
Hey there, everyone. My name is Brent Gaisford. I'm the general manager for Southern California for Abodu. We're a modular builder of ADUs, which means we build them first in a factory and then crane them into our homeowners' backyards. Anyway, just really excited to join you today on Home Ownership Day to talk about ADUs, what they are, how they work. So yeah, with that, let's get into it. Let me switch over to a presentation. So I'm going to take you through that, show a couple videos as well in the middle, and yeah, that's what we got on deck for today. So let's get started. Okay. So yeah, as I mentioned, we'll talk about what ADUs are, what are the steps to actually build an ADU, and then finally, how do you finance one? So first off, what is an ADU? So an ADU is an accessory dwelling unit. In California, there's two different ways to do one. So one is a traditional ADU, which is a detached structure, usually in the backyard, but not always. In every city in California, you can build up to 800 square feet. In some cities, you can go as high as large as 1,200 square feet. They have to have their own kitchen and bathroom. You don't have to build them any required parking. They can even, in fact, replace existing parking for the single family home, or you can actually build them behind apartment buildings as well. And the alternative is a JADU. And so that's a dwelling unit that is connected to the main home, but has another door to the outside. They can be up to 500 square feet. They have to have their own kitchen to count as a JADU. But they do not have to have their own bathroom. They can share bathrooms with the main home, and they're allowed to be interconnected with the main home. There can be doors between the two inside, as long as the JADU has its own separate exterior entrance. Again, you don't have to build any additional parking. Depending on the city, they often have to be carved out of the existing home, so you can't add net new square footage to do the JADU, but again, that depends on jurisdiction. And the really interesting thing here is every lot can have both. So you can build both a detached accessory dwelling unit or, one inside the main home, a JADU. So you can have up to 3 dwelling units really per lot. Quick just point trivia, people also call ADUs granny flats or casitas. So those may be names you've heard as well. Here's a couple photos. So on the left-hand side here, this is in Abodu 1. This is one of our projects that we installed. On the right, this is an illustration of the way a JADU works. It's hard to get a photo that really speaks to it in the real world because they just look like part of the main home. But hopefully this gives you a sense for how those work. So the reason everybody is talking about ADUs recently is because of some changes to state law, sometimes local law, but really it's state law changes over the last several years that have made it much easier to build an ADU. So it used to be quite strict and difficult, and almost everywhere in California there was really restrictive permitting requirements that made it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, really high fees that they charged, really onerous lot size and additional parking requirements, and many places said you couldn't rent it out after you build it. However, as a result of all these state law changes, none of those are the case anymore. So unnecessary fees have been removed and strictly limited by the state. It still costs quite a bit of money in permitting, but it's, $10,000 to $15,000 instead of, much more that they used to charge for the fees, that is. There are much more standardized rules on where they can be built. Every property you're allowed to build one because of those state law changes, as long as you stay 4 feet off the property line, 5 feet if you don't want to fire rate the walls, but so 4 or 5 feet away from your property lines, and then between 5 and 10 feet away from any other existing structure for fire code. But as long as you can fit within that footprint, you can build one. And you're also allowed to rent them out everywhere in California. Cities can still limit short-term rental, so you may not be able to Airbnb it, but you're allowed to rent it out to people who are staying 30 days or longer everywhere in the state. So this really made it much easier for people all across the state to build them, and frankly, it also made it easier for professional companies like ours to set up and be able to put together a really tight playbook that lets us cost effectively deliver ADUs all across the state, because the entire state has the same rules with those state guidelines overlaid on top of them. So why do people get them? I think the easiest way to talk about this is with some of our customer stories. So there's basically two broad categories. So one is like Faisal from Redwood City. So he wanted to be able to have extra space to work from home during the pandemic. He was also homeschooling his kids, like many people, and then also have space for guests to be able to come and stay and actually have some contact without people being out in the world in hotels. We'll call this broadly personal use. The other thing that we get a lot of, that a lot of our customers do, is build a space for some family member. So maybe an aging parent, or we're building one right now for somebody whose son just graduated from college, wants to come back to Los Angeles, but he wants to be a musician. So he's not making a lot of money right now. He's trying to be supportive for his son, and so he's going to build an ADU for him to live in, to be close, have it be affordable, but also still have some independence and separation for the two of them. The other main use case is like Rabina, another one of our customers. She was in Millbrae, and Rabina was sort of looking at retirement, wanted to have some steady income through retirement, and so built the ADU as a source of income. She rents it out and generates really solid income from doing that. So broadly speaking, those are the two big reasons to do an ADU. Some personal or family need that you can fulfill with having another home on your lot, or renting it out and making money, which is something everyone can do as well. So there's two ways to build an ADU. So one is to site build with traditional construction, and we'll talk about these steps first. So to design a project like that, basically you hire an architect, and then you also usually need a surveyor as well at the bare minimum. You often will also need a geologist, a civil engineer, or a structural engineer, depending on your lot specifics and your city's rules. So basically you put the team together, iterate on the design with all of them, and then sort of estimate your construction costs at that point to try to make sure you're designing something you can afford to build. Then you submit to your local jurisdiction for permitting. There's usually multiple rounds of comments, which many of you probably will not be surprised to hear that local governments don't have this as a streamlined, easy process, and it requires a lot of hand-holding on the applicant's part. So you really need to respond to those, be pushing the ball forward and sort of being the squeaky wheel to make sure you get moved through the process and respond to their comments quickly. Change your plans as necessary. Usually need to make some amount of small changes. You can pay an architect to handle many of these tasks, but there's usually always some amount of involvement you need to have. And then finally is the construction process. So the way to build a custom ADU like that is traditional construction. So you'll hire a GC, get bids, try to find somebody who will be, not going to be issuing you a lot of change orders. They're really going to build it on time, all that kind of stuff. Hire a GC, review and approve the materials and finishes. The architect will probably help with that as well, but ultimately, really, it's your project and your choice. You need to let them know what their guidance is there. And then you've got 3 to 6 months of construction in the backyard where they're pouring the concrete, framing the house, putting on all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, close the walls, get the finishes in, clean things up, and you're done. The other way to do it is with a modular company. So this is what we do, and there's a number of other companies like us as well, although not, we're doing more of this than anyone else. But in any case, so generally modular companies have a few products to choose from. Like we have 3, for instance, at the moment, although we have a 4th coming out soon. Pick one of those existing products. And then we handle the entire permitting process, basically. So keep our homeowners up to date, but we do all that juggling with the local jurisdiction, so our customers don't have to. And then construction, similarly, we do So you still have to build the foundation in the backyard and then set the house onto it. That takes about 2 weeks before install day. We install in 1 day with a big crane. And then 2 more weeks after that to do some touch-ups on the unit, pass all the inspections, and then you're out. So about 4 to 6 weeks of total construction time. There's sort of a hybrid model that exists out there from some companies, which is they're a modular company, but they only give you the unit. So in that case, you're still really doing the permitting because they're just giving you the box. So you're getting the permit approved for their unit. And then finding a GC to build that foundation, connect the utilities, and do that work after they drop your unit off for you. So those are the 2 main ways to build an ADU. And let's talk about the way these actually get installed. And so I'm going to show a couple videos so you can actually really see these in action. Okay, so first we're going to watch a traditional ADU be built here. All right, wonderful. So obviously that was just the framing process, but a good way to see how framing works, and that's the part that can kind of go fast in traditional construction, so it looks exciting. And then let's switch over and watch a modular install. So this will be one of our units. All right, so hopefully that gave you a good overview of the way install works. Obviously, when you have our cranes out, it's a bit of a scene when we're lifting a house over another house. So people tend to come out and watch, and it's really exciting when we do those installs. But yeah, so that should give you an overview of the process there. Okay, so let's talk about the different kinds of units that you can do. I'm going to use our units just as an example. We'll also talk in general about what kinds of units you can build. So we have 3 different models, from smallest to biggest, from top to bottom. So the studio unit is 340 square feet and $200,000. 1 bedroom is 500 square feet at $225,000, and the 2 bedroom is 600 square feet at $260,000. The way all of these work is you've got a full-size kitchen with full-size appliances, and then varying amounts of living space depending on which unit you pick. All jurisdictions will allow you to go up to 800 square feet and 1 story. Some jurisdictions you can build 2-story ADUs that are as much as 1,200 square feet, but for us, we make sure all our units work in every city. So that's why we sort of have the sizes that we do here. And finally, let's talk about how people pay for ADUs. Obviously, the total dollar values is really, is somewhat high, but it's an entire house, right? And these really get financed the way through mortgages. So the monthly payments for most of our customers end up being between $1,000 and $1,500 a month, depending on how you finance it and which unit you get. And so of course that for those who are renting them out, that's where the upside is. If you're buying a unit you're paying $1,200 a month, and then you're renting it out to someone for $2,500 a month, that's quite a bit of cash flow you're generating for yourself. So those financing options are, 1, cash out refinance. So that's if you've been in your home for a while, home values have moved up, you can do a cash out refi, just take that cash and then use it for the ADU. The second is a HELOC, which is very similar. You're taking the existing equity out of your home and using it for home improvement, which an ADU counts as that. So that's the vast majority of our customers are doing either a cash out refi or a HELOC. Those are really the most attractive financing options. You can also do a construction loan. So that's for homeowners who are planning to rent out their ADU, but they don't have a ton of equity in their home yet. So you can do a construction loan, which is a little bit more complicated to work out with the bank, and the interest rates are higher, but just until you're done building the unit. As soon as you're done building it, you can turn it into a traditional mortgage again, just like the cash out refi or the HELOC. And then last is cash. Some people do pay cash. The vast majority of ADU companies out there don't provide financing. Really, it's as you're working with traditional banks. And we have a number of them that we've worked with that we can sort of point our customers to, and they've had a good experience. But yeah, that's all sort of a traditional financial transaction with a bank. All right, so that's your super quick high-level overview of how ADUs work. Hopefully this was informative and interesting for all of you. If you'd like to connect with me, please don't hesitate to shoot me a note. My email's here at the bottom, brent@abodu.com. Happy to answer any questions about us or ADUs in general. Or if you're interested in learning more about Abodu, you can go to our website or follow us on Instagram and let us know. If you send us your address, we can then start to look at your property and let you know what's possible for you to be able to do. We can do all that from afar virtually. So yeah, thank you all again. It was wonderful getting to talk to you today, and yeah, good luck with your with whatever comes next, and I hope an ADU can be a good solution for all of you.
Wow, that was some really interesting information about accessory dwelling units, huh? It's in my list to get one of those on my property soon for sure, because I think they really add value. And not only that, they add functionality, which is really important. Especially we learned that with COVID, right, you guys? So thank you to Brent and Abodu, and don't forget, you can click on the links in the description below to find out more about the company, see some of the plans that they offer, and just get in contact, get a quote, you guys. Thanks again for joining us at Homeownership Day today. It's been a pleasure and an honor to spend this time with you. Again, don't forget, if you are looking for support or resources, subscribe to this channel, ding the bell. We'll, continue to upload great content for you. And we're building out communities. We have, community on Facebook, getting one up on Discord soon. And of course, we have this YouTube community here to help support you in your homeownership journey. Thank you again for joining us today. Wishing you all the best. God bless. I also want to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors this year for Homeownership Day 2022. These are the people behind the scenes that are helping to spend dollars to get our website edited, the people who are helping to do the marketing campaigns and reaching out to the outlets so that you hear about this event and that the word gets out about Homeownership Day. So we want to thank the Money, Real Estate, and More podcast, M&M. You guys don't forget to subscribe to their podcast and to their website. They actually have a directory on there if you need any professionals to do business with or just consult with. They've got a really good directory on the More and More Network. So thank you again, More and More Network, for being one of our sponsors this year. I also want to thank NAWRB, Women in the Housing and Real Estate Ecosystem. They are a huge supporter of Homeownership Day. They've been a part of this event since we were meeting at Chapman University years and years ago, and they continue to educate and teach us about different ways and aspects to look at real estate when it comes from the all-encompassing lens of the housing ecosystem. So thank you, Desiree and NAWRB, for being a sponsor this year. I also want to thank Vow to Save. Vow to Save is a crowdfunding platform where people can, in essence, get a website that connects to their PayPal and work with their friends to crowdfund that down payment quicker. So if you know anybody anxious about getting a home, make sure that you tell them about Vow to Save. And our last sponsor is Mountain West Financial. Thank you so much. This bank is not just any bank. They are advocates for homeownership, which is why there's such a perfect alignment with Homeownership Day. They have all kinds of different loan programs, creative loan programs, and their goal is to get you into homeownership. So thank you, Mountain West. We appreciate you being a part of Homeownership Day 2022, and we hope to have you back again next year. Everyone, thank you again for your time. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, attendees. It's been a great day, and we hope that you make every day Homeownership Day.